Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and the producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, I'm trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of our presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
What's growing on? What's growing on? What is growing on? Welcome to B1AG Dinner Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris, and we also have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agriculture production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family and for the Black community. Welcome Black to the garden. Now, today we have a special guest. Her name is Tiffany Williams, and she's from Austin, Texas. She goes by FarmHer Nancy, and she's a FarmHer. You know, FarmHer for y'all out there. You know, and we love, this is what we want to do more in 2022. We really want to highlight people that embraces agricultural lifestyle and really live it and bring this to you. So for those that are thinking about, you know, just growing something or having a garden or getting into farming or, you know, however big your venture is or how small, we just want to show you real life examples of our people living this lifestyle. And we look forward to bringing Farmer Nancy onto the broadcast. Farmer Brown, this what say you?
First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well. You know, when we talk about agriculture, a lot of times we get in the mindset of plows and cows and being out in the field. But as Farmer Nancy shows, sometimes agriculture is all about social justice. Agriculture is all about moving the ball forward. We talk about this concept of Black power. There's power in being able to feed not only yourself, but being able to feed others. And so Farmer Nancy embodies this. When we think about all of the things that divide us within the melanated community, especially it's been a buzzword, these gender wars. But when we think of gender wars, we think of how do we work together to fight the bigger beast of food insecurity and injustice. And so I look forward to deep diving into the conversation with this sister and really getting into some topics. I think we have a great one today for the family to imbibe in.
So without further ado, I'd like everybody who's watching this live to go ahead and greet Farmer Nancy. We got Farmer Nancy from Austin, Texas. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey y'all, hey y'all. Am I lagging a little bit? I might have to go. Am I lagging?
A little bit, but we'll work through it.
Okay, because I don't know if it's gonna be a bad lag. But hey everybody, it's so nice to be here. Shout out to the B1AG family. Yeah, it's a bad lag on my side.
Don't worry about it. Just speak as if normal, and even though it may lag, the information is still coming through.
So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to give the family a little time to get in the building, but we were chopping it up a little bit before the show, talking about Antonio Brown. It's a trending topic right now. And here at B1AG, you know, we frame our conversation specifically around agriculture, food security, but this concept of principles. And so he had millions of dollars on the line of, you know, kind of going along, hey, this is the way we're going to run this game. And he decided to take his proverbial jersey off. and ran off the field. I'm done with it. I don't care what kind of bag or whatever incentives y'all got for me. I'm done with it. And he ran off. And I think me and him, we got different views on what that meant. But kind of tying it to the conversation we're having today, when we talk about, this empowerment within our community, this concept of separation. And I know you got a very interesting story about a farmer down in Austin that I really look forward to getting into. But this is a very hard thing to work on the mind. When it comes to empowering yourself, there's something you have to give of yourself. And I know you understand that not only as a parent, but as a producer, as somebody that gets out in the garden, out on the farm, and actually produce something. And so with that, if you could kind of give us a little bit of background of how did you get into this? You were talking about genealogy, studying your family. And so if you could go into a little bit of that for the melanated family to get a little bit of taste of what Farmer Nancy got going on.
All right, I will. Well, first I got to get rid of the puppy because she doing too much. So hold on one second.
See, Farm Brown, we're gonna talk about Antonio Brown.
Okay.
When you're out there doing farming and agriculture, you have to work as a team, right? So if you're out there working as a team with the goal of, okay, we're farming, we're gardening, and you got one person over here trying to do his own thing that has nothing to do or production or doing that's going to help you win or help you grow, that's not good.
If you're on a plantation doing free labor or exploitative labor, somebody's got to break this exploitative cycle.
He ain't exploited. He's a millionaire. He's getting paid millions to do what he does.
Do they call them $1 million slaves? But Farmer Nancy, let's
all right, I'm so sorry, y'all. So it always goes down. I'm an urban farmer. So my farm is in an urban community. It's on the corner in Austin, Texas, in a gentrifying neighborhood. So we got the construction over here. We got my puppers, my kids. It's just always going down in my world. So y'all just excuse me for 2.56 seconds. Woo. So yes, what were we talking about?
Your background, genealogy, how you kind of got
so my background in genealogy. So I'm born and raised Austinite. I was raised in Austin. My family is from Austin. Oh man, when I started this agricultural journey, I literally was at the same time researching my family history. I just like history. I'm just like this history person. And as I was growing food, my uncle would just be like, we used to go down to the farm in Mexico. And I'm like, the farm in Mexico? What farm? So I eventually just started looking into it. I started pulling censuses and stuff like that and just really looking into where people were on the land. I call it agricultural genealogy. So as a farmer, it's deeper than just a trade for me because I am literally from where I'm farming. The land that I'm farming on is land that my family has lived on and moved around on for over 200 years, right? So for me, I like to trace that back, and it's just tracing back the farm family. So agricultural genealogy, grandma's hands. That's right. So I started looking into my family. I had already known that they had came from the Buda area, which is in southeast Travis County, right over the line in Hayes County. And so they actually migrated from there after they were freed from their owners in Mountain City. They started to migrate here. And then I did have some family that was enslaved by people who lived here actually in Travis County. And so, being an actual descendant of people who built this city, and when I talk about people building cities, I'm talking about the agriculturalists, the people that tilled the land, stewarded the land, grew the food. Those farming communities, like, that's a huge thing because we don't talk about that. We do not talk about the pillar of the communities, the foundation, the ground, the frame for it being agriculture. The city of Austin has a resolution on its record, on the books, a city council that says agriculture. They, first of all, they apologized for racism and slavery and all this stuff. Then they said that this city was built on agriculture and the agricultural practices of those enslaved peoples. Period. This is in the resolution at the city council. Like, I can pull it up and show it to y'all and all that. Okay, so if y'all are apologizing and attributing the growth of the city, y'all got to pay me. Where's my money? Because I am the only Black farmer here. Not only am I the only one here, y'all act like I'm not here. Or y'all act like y'all don't hear me saying, are y'all going to pay me to farm, to come back here and rebuild this city the way y'all keep saying it's tore up from the floor up? What's up? And it's never discussed. It's never talked about. I have had such a huge issue, and I've exhausted the public processes. Like, I'm on literal vacation from public processes because my experience was so bad. But it's deep rooted. When you look into your local public political processes, it's deep rooted. A lot of it is still ancestral. A lot of it you can trace back the people and the families that's still here hanging around, fooling around with the city council. Like, it's crazy. It's real crazy. But this is food, right? And you can never go or colonize a place, or you can never go and build a place without having the food. And this was Mexico. Like, when we talk about Texas, this is a different type of thing. And so, like, as a Black person, sometimes I feel like I was just a prisoner of war because the Mexicans clearly told the Americans not to bring slaves here. That was a part of the reason they went to war. So, I mean, my family been here since then.
Sister,
so somebody gotta pay me.
Cut the check. So one of the reasons we have this B1AG conversation, I'm glad you put it that way. And so a lot of people have gone to these councils, you've gone to these agencies, all of these different entities that publicly, hey, we're helping the people. We'll even come out and say sorry. But like you said, when it comes to cutting the check, because to run any operation, it costs money. When you're operating on land that your ancestors tilled, your ancestors worked, there was money generated. There was wealth generated that other people's families, their little 16-year-olds are riding around in Beamers and Benzes off of the backs of your ancestors. Let's just keep it a buck. And right. So saying that to say, one of the reasons we have this B1AG conversation is it's like you're suffering in silence. And we don't like to play the victim mentality, but when it comes down to the tangibles of what it takes to make Operation One, you run to feed people. When we think of altruistic things, there's nothing more righteous than wanting to basically feed people. To feed people, I have to grow it. I'm in an area where my ancestors, and I have proof, I have documentation that my ancestors were here and worked this ground, built the wealth, but now I'm here in 2022 and I can't get the same love that these other people who just running off on the plug and doing all these other things get.
Running off on the plug, right?
Running off on the plug. So our thing is, how do we bring attention? When we think about, people are going to have a lot of opinions about Antonio Brown running off of the proverbial plantation, whether it was irrational and crazy or whether there was, devils in the details that us outside viewers don't understand. How does that apply to agriculture? How does that apply to your journey in, like, you're just trying to feed people? And there's all these little things that the outside community don't see. And you said you're the only one down there. I think that's crazy. I kind of want you to elaborate on that a little more.
So, you know what? It is crazy. And it's a whole thing. You know, Austin is such a unique place in that Austin is the most play pretending place ever. Like, if y'all look at Austin, it's a genocide on Black people. Like, we going backwards. Like, the Black population in Austin is going down, and nobody talks about it. But they promote the city as this, like, the best place to come live and everything. And then when Black people get here, the first thing out their mouth is, where's all the Black people? We in hiding. Well, what do you mean? We don't want to be bothered because our narrative gets changed so much. We get, it's like the white savior thing happens to us. It's like all this stuff just happens to us here, and nobody ever says anything about it. And a part of it is our leadership, nonprofit organizations. It's just like this big bowl of crazy shit that happens, excuse my language, to Black people here in Austin. And so for me, being a farmer and wanting to just feed people, and the first thing you think, right, is to go to my people and get support. You know what I'm saying? So when I reach out to the community, of course I get feedback from the community and, you know, my elders, my young people who are, you know, vegans and into plant-based and into gardening and stuff like that. But then when I look at the people that are like supposed to be fighting for social change and equity and social justice, and they are just like ignoring food. Not me. I think that people get it confused. I think they get mad, or I think that they think I'm mad because I'm not getting some type of recognition or something. I'm pissed off as a veteran because I'm watching my community starve to death. I'm watching no one of color grow food or produce food, but I see them like awarding themselves for all of this advocacy and police brutality and like voting, but everybody starved. Nobody talked about the food. Nobody talked about the food. And so when I'm saying this, they looking at me like, oh, there go Tiff, she tripping. I'm like, but no, I'm not tripping. Like, y'all don't even have food on the budget. So I start going to the African American Resource Advisory Committees, right? And I'm like, y'all didn't even talk about food. We talked about all the money y'all was gonna try to get from the city, and food wasn't even on there. It was like health care, COVID, homelessness, voting.
No tangibles.
No food.
Where do you think this disconnect with our people in agriculture comes from? Like, how can you overlook something that you strive to do every day? Like, that's a basic human need, is to eat. Why is it that, why do you think that many of our people we just neglect to look at that?
They think you start in the kitchen. They lazy. Wasn't nobody helping grandma and them clean them greens after my mom and them? My grandma told me to go put the butter in the pot so we could make the cake. I went and dropped the stick in the bowl. I didn't even take the butter out the pack. Like, we ain't, you know, they think that the food just appears in the kitchen. They didn't know that Nanny and them went out back and picked them greens and pulled them peas and, you know what I'm saying, got them lemons, and that sometimes she might have went to the store to the grocer to get a couple of things to mix and match, but or she might have called down the street and got some onions from Miss Kit and them. But you know, hey, we got personal chefs. It looks so good. I mean, the chefs is doing the hard work. They got to be growing it in their backyards. Cause I don't know where they getting the food from either. Are they using black farmers? You know, I be looking at this food and I be like, we don't even think about where it's really coming from. Um, and when we do, we talk about the organic thing. I mean, forget that. Like, no, where is it being shipped in from? Where are you getting it? So that's when we get to how it was so easy for a farmer like Brenton Johnson, to run off on the plug, to run off on the entire community. He, that was crazy, you know.
We're gonna delve deeper into that one, but you brought something up. This white savior complex in relation to the organizations, the altruistic nonprofits, charity. Oh, we just help these lowly brown people. You live
Parties
in
and social gatherings.
Yeah, you live in Austin, Texas, and I think it's interesting. Alex Jones, he's one of the nation's biggest patriots of fairness, and I think it's very interesting you're in that location, and that's the dynamic that you're dealing with. Because believe me, sister, I mean, I think anywhere where melanated people are waking up and seeing our relationship with the land, and I can tell you this from Central Kentucky, some of the best farmland on Turtle Island, North America. These dynamics exist. I'm glad. I'm not going to say I'm glad you said it, but it lets me know I'm not going crazy, right? But saying that to say, if you could let the people know that there is a bag, there is a real bag. There are groups getting tangible dollars, tangible resources because we're not connecting with the land, and we're not supporting those of us who are producing from the land. Here at B1AG, one of our things, we sell a class, healthyblackfood.com. The concept is we're teaching people how to grow their own food from a rudimentary level, because we understand whether you're wanting to just grow a garden to feed yourself, or whether you're wanting to learn how to plant food to create an ag business, create a value-added product, or find some sort of niche within the agricultural system. Can you speak on how many bags are involved from your perspective on our inability to get on code around people like yourself who are producing, who don't have the support of the system or the city or the councils who are, you said you went to the black folks.
Yeah,
Like, hey, y'all talking about the jab and all of this. What about
they
the food?
look, they making it up. I mean, they getting bags off made up stuff. Period. Like that. I mean, they out here saying they gonna okay. The city of Austin is looking. So this is just hypothetical. They putting it out there. The city of Austin, they looking for a request for a proposal for like we gonna give $1.2 million for a food program that connects local food with the corner stores in food deserts. Boom. Somebody in the community, the Urban League, for instance, they show up and they say, because the Urban League, somebody got an Urban League, they get donations. All the big people donate to the Urban League. The Urban League gets this proposal, and now they have to facilitate some type of program that connects local food, us, the farmers, to the grocery store, right? Now they have $1.2 million to do this with. I live across the street from the corner store. It's right. I'm looking at the corner store out my window. I can walk across the street with my produce, and ask the man in the corner store, sir, can I leave this here? And there's no middleman. The organization just became my pimp. They food access pimps. They food access pimps. And so and I am like, y'all not finna pimp me. Okay, then you got to pay me. So now I gotta tell all the black people that be making this stuff up, getting all this money and really not changing the community, because why does it still look like this after 20, 30 years? Now I got to be like, just pay me, bro. Because
no. We just want you to be this happy, smiling face on our flyer. We don't really want you to do anything. We don't want you to produce nothing. You just got to be this happy brown face. Brenton Johnson. And so I think we have one of those everywhere where melanated communities are trying to empower themselves. And these are these white saviors that just happen to already have the infrastructure in place, the basket in place to get the money from these funds, these millions of dollars that are going through, connecting urban communities, so-called minorities with healthy food. So if you could touch on the Brenton Johnson dynamic.
So
what that represents.
Modern day plantation operations in plain sight. Somebody just they running plantations in plain sight. This urban farm movement, when it's white, I'm keeping it real. You gotta look at that, because at Johnson's Backyard Garden, I would say they came in, allegedly about 20 years ago. In the urban farm movement here in Austin had real strong. They went so far as to farm over a historically black spinach farm. You know what I'm saying? The land that they're farming was historically black. And so having the earthers and, your white women with dreads and all these people come in and build this farm and they create this CSA, it's like, oh, agriculture is so big, it's so huge, but it was so white. So then that was a problem, right? Because what they started doing, they had to do the urban farm ordinance. And now they in the hood, they farming in the hood. And it stink, they processing pigs and stuff. And so the city is like, why is this so white? It's what are y'all doing? And so they had to start creating programs. So they created Urban Roots. And so they create Farm Share. They create all these programs of equity, right? But meanwhile, Brenton Johnson, he's like running this farm that's the main. It's like this 200-acre, the largest organic farm in Texas. It's in East Austin, but it's really out in Bastrop. So it's getting the advantages of the PPP loans, being in 8A zones and small business shit. Like, this stuff is crazy. And we just out here trying to grow food and feed the hood. Like, it's crazy. So Brenton Johnson, he comes from a place where his daddy worked for the USA, his grandpa, the USDA, the FSA. So these are historically, discriminatory and racist entities that he comes from. And then he displays the behavior in his farming operation, allegedly, through people who have told me too many times in my DMs and too many times publicly to be like, why are we supporting this man? But people have done it. He just left after COVID, after the winter storm, gets all this money, all this funding, and just disappears. Have lawsuits, abusing, just Reddit threads. Y'all, this is it's one of those stories where you cannot believe it until you really sit down and research it and go through it. And I'm gonna have to just do that one day. But basically, after running $1 million operation down into the ground, abusing his workers, just disappearing. He just left this gaping hole in the food industry, in our local food system. And this is where everybody goes for the CSAs, for the community programs to distribute food. And I'm just like, so nobody was gonna say nothing. Nobody is gonna ask if like produce is going to like people who are in need, because I know I'm a part of a food delivery program that get produce from there. So it's just no more produce coming from there. Like that's a 200-acre farm. It's being recognized as one of the largest farms in Texas. So when it just stopped, there's no more food. That didn't make nobody was affected by that. I can't believe that.
You got to think about this. You know, as above, so below. So that dynamic, CSA shares, and if you could talk about that a little bit, community supported agriculture. You're basically paying the producer up front to deliver produce boxes to your door in many cases, or pickup points. That whole transaction is based on trust. I'm paying you up front early in the year, so you'll produce something for me later because I know you need the operational cost. And so what happens when that trust is broken with somebody like this Johnson guy? How hard does it make it for you? You're the lone melanated farmer in this area. You know, for me to get my operation going right now, I have this 1 acre plot. You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking as Nancy, farmer Nancy. I'm just wanting to do my due diligence as a producer and get a healthy product to the consumer. But because of this experience you just had with this person who's deeply rooted with the USDA, has a whole generational connection to the usual suspects, how is that going to affect your operation? Because like I said, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. But it's very interesting because where I'm at, and I know where Big J is at in Georgia, these same dynamics exist where the people who have all of the resources and advantage, you know, I'll throw away a $2 million operation. I'll take my bag and run off. Now, y'all deal with all of these other intended or unintended consequences. How does that affect you and your mission?
Oh my God, it makes me itch, first of all. Because it's so discouraging in a way, because I know that one, I already had competition from that as business competition. You know, when you start your small business, you go and they talk about your risk factors and, you know, what is your competition, and, you know, you got to put all of these things in your business plan, right? And so, yeah, that's one of the things. What are my biggest, you know, risk factors? The fact that I have established farms in urban agriculture in my community already, and JBG is one of them. It's on my list. You know what I'm saying? So for me, as a small scale farmer, to know that yes, that's part of my business competition as a business owner, and then to know that they can just up and walk away from $1 million operation, y'all, from 200 hard acres. What you mean? That back up on the river? I need that. And they can just up and leave, and just leave produce in the fields. What? Oh, no.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you
Sounds like Antonio Brown to me.
Oh, my back.
Let me ask you this. You know, here at B1AG, we don't like to deal in conjecture, but for the sake of trying to contextualize this to the melanated family, why it is important to support. So, in a perfect world where melanated people understood the importance of our place within the food system, how would Farmer Nancy how would you have been able to capitalize on this person doing what they did if there was broader melanated support for what you were doing? What would have been the opportunities within this? What kind of case could you have made to the councils or whoever powers to be where you're at if you had a community? Not everybody's not going to agree, but if you had a critical mass of melanated communities down there, melanated consumers or customers of what you're producing, how much of a difference could that have made in what you could have done in reaction to Jones doing what he did or Johnson doing what he did?
We could have flipped the script. We could have flipped the script because why wasn't I being supported? Why didn't I have support? We talking about Austin. Like, don't the richest man, the billionaire Robert dude live here? So, we could have had our own food system. We could have created a Black food system that is able to be sustained not the same way they was sustained. They wasn't sustaining. They was abusing and using. But yes, we will be able to create food hubs. We will be able to create technology, agriculture and technology bridges and bridge the gaps with innovation and learning. I love what you guys do with your educational programs. I'm just one person, right? And it's just me. And it's such a disadvantage, I feel like, to not only my family, because I want to teach my kids too, but others, because I can't spread myself so thin. And I do because the work has to get done. But I can't keep doing it by myself. I was able to get the city of Austin to support me on my own. I was able to, not without Black leadership, nothing like that. I was able to get them to look at my farm as a prototype for Black agriculture, because they use terms like agri-hoods to classify urban farms that are ran by white people on land that been here for 100 years. There used to be plantations. Like, how you gonna call that an agri-hood? That's so disrespectful. It's already down the street from the hood, and none of the food goes to support those people in Lakeside. Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, it's so slighting here in Austin, and it's the worst. It's just bad when they do this kind of stuff. And so I think that if I were to have the support of my melanated people the way they should be supporting here in Austin, but they don't because they weird, it would be on and pop, because it's food. It's like, we don't grow it, y'all foraging for it. When you ask me, how do you make it that, and how do you get them to see how important it is? We're starving. Like, yeah, y'all eating, but they tell us we got obesity, high cholesterol, like all of these things. That's because y'all eating something that ain't even grown with love. It's not even grown with love. Like, what?
Now, we've been seeing across the country how urban gardening, urban farming have really been revitalizing, neighborhoods that have become blight, just tore down neighborhoods, and agriculture is used to bring it back to life. Now, we touched on a little bit earlier about, how everybody's like Black Lives Matter, but they're not thinking about the food. Can you tell our audience about how you're using agriculture as a way to push social justice as far as with your youth offenders?
Yes. So our goal here is to create a program for children coming out of the juvenile justice system or transitioning out of foster care. Even try to start catching those before they even get to the juvenile justice systems, and introduce them to agriculture, introduce them to trades and opportunities in agriculture, whether it's forestry, livestock husbandry. Just get them onto a farm, onto a ranch setting, get them working with farmers, talking to the elders. Let it be organic and natural. we gotta figure out a way to connect with these kids today that works. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things that attracted me to B1AG. It was the intro and the music. I was like, okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Let me check this out. And I was like, I'm gonna have to add it to my list of playlists that I use in my farm when I'm, farming. My farm therapy, like therapeutic gardening. And so I think that we've been able to connect with the local judge, Judge Mueller, who's on the youth offender docket here in Austin. And going into 2022, we're going to work more with her to get our farm on the Product Engage program, which is a program through the Travis County Courts juvenile docket that gives them community service opportunities as opposed to them going and just picking up trash. They can come and learn how to farm. They can learn about horticulture, vermiculture, worm farming. I mean, it's levels to this. They don't gotta think about farm and just think about shoveling poop or like slaving or nothing like that. My kids, they like living on the farm, but they not. They over it. They've been doing this. I've been doing this for 4 years. My daughter was 4. They've been doing this for a long time. So I can only get them to take care of the worm farm. They just want to throw the worms in there and deal with the compost. They don't want to help me grow vegetables no more.
That's cool. Ag is a game of niches.
Exactly. So that's why there's so many niches that we just need to introduce these kids and let them know it's a thing. There's, it's young people that walk past my farm every day and they be like, oh, that's a beautiful garden you have. And I be like, this a farm. They be like, a farm? And I be like, yeah, you don't know, a farm can be this small. What you talking about? Come on, meet a farmer. And they're like, a farmer? I be like, yeah, I'm the only Black farmer in Austin. You don't know about me? I got to talk to them like they talk, And I'm like, yeah. And they be like, okay, I like that. And then they come back, and then they hang, they sit at my bench, we chop it up for a little bit. Then they walk, they go catch the bus. And that is, kids walk by, they be like, ooh, mama, that's a vineyard. And I be like, yeah, baby, come see this vineyard. We can plant some grapes if you want to, so it's just a unique thing. And I think that being able to build that program, right? We need the funding for this stuff. Like, and I go out for grants, like, and I had to learn, watching, the Black orgs here. I'm like, okay, anything y'all can do, I can do myself. I don't have to I don't need all of this other stuff because I write anyway. So I was like, start writing my own little mini grants or whatever. And I was able to start getting some funding from local grants because and then they would be like, well, we can't, we need to sponsor you through an organization. And I'm like, cause I'm a for-profit, I'm not a nonprofit. So I would have to get it administered to me through a nonprofit. And I'm like, man, that nonprofit don't got nothing to do with agriculture. How you gonna tell me they gotta put their hands on my money? What? No, you see, I don't see the sense of urgency. If I'm writing for a grant, that means I ain't got this $3,000. That means it's urgent that I feed these people. They lack the sense of urgency when they say they want to give us this grant money and the equity and all of it. Don't tell me it got to be a matching that I need to spend $3,000 to get $3,000. You giving me this grant money and I'm going to go buy these fruit trees and grow this fruit. And I don't want to go through all of that.
Ancestor Booker T. Watley said it best. One of his rules: avoid the middleman like a plague. The brother Nathan Lockridge, he's in Texas as well. He's saying he's experiencing the same thing where he's at. And so, one of the reasons we have this conversation, what you represent, sister, and this is why this is an honor for us to have this discussion with you. You represent a seed. And so all it takes is a handful of them little kids. You said they walk, oh, that's a pretty garden or, pretty flowers. But there was a seed planted. They saw a melanated sister, right? You don't represent the archetype of what most of these kids are going to see in a social studies book. My first experience with seeing a melanated person involved in agriculture was a slave. It was a slavery, that little paragraph they have in our social studies books.
Right.
I had a choice of Michael Jordan and rap music, or this degrading picture of melanated people in a farm that looks horrible with somebody whipping them. And so I spent decades of my life wanting to be an entertainer, not realizing the bag isn't feeding the world. There's 75 million more people on planet Earth right now, and every single one of them have to eat. Our ancestors, like you've done your research, our ancestors were a part of feeding. The sister, your highness Shiro, has put at least 10 different very formidable plans on how to make use of an acre, a quarter acre, multiple acres. Like you said, when we talk about farming, don't just limit it to the cows and shoveling poop. There's all of these different niches that directly affect and generate revenue. That's what these people who write these grants, like, hey, I'll give you $3,000, but I need you to tell me everything you're doing. And so for this $3,000, I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna take everything you just told me, and I'm gonna go make $30,000. I'm gonna go make $300,000 because I know your community ain't gonna support you. And so you got to take these little crumbs I'm throwing you, and while you're out here struggling, just trying to get support, we gonna go make a bag off of what you just told us, and that's exploitative. It's exploitative. But once again, I hate to keep talking, man. It's crazy.
No, it is crazy because for me, I sit through it and I was experiencing, and I was like, no, because it's only me. I didn't have nobody to talk to about it. And so then when I would see, other Black farmers in the space, I would build with them. I would build with, there's a group here rooted in melanin. You know what I'm saying? I build with them, but it was like, we have to say something, because I will be the only one saying something. Not everybody is as, about that life as I am. I just say stuff because I'm a veteran and I'll be triggered. And so sometimes it just comes out of me. But my grandmother was also a local civil rights leader here in Austin, Texas. And I get so angry when I think about how she gave her life to fight for this city. And I come home from fighting for my country as a veteran, and I see these niggas really been out here like preying on the community and hanging out with the white people, like letting it happen. And now we starving to death and ain't nobody talking about the food. Oh no. I mean, it burns me up on my insides. And so when I talk about it, I'm going in on everybody. So when I see even urban farmers, even Black farmers that look like me, I didn't went off on other urban farmers. I ain't lying, because I see y'all trying to play that game. And don't play that game, because you ain't doing nothing but hurting the people. And that's not what we about to do over here. And I'll be ready to fight. I didn't wake up with violence, I promise, but I'll be ready to go all the way in, because this is food. And as a veteran, my inner is like, it get hot. And so I think that finding a way, because I don't have a curriculum, right? But I have the idea, I have the space, I have the infrastructure to implement a program, but I don't have a curriculum. You guys have a curriculum. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing for me to call y'all and be like, I would love to work with you and see if there's a way we can implement y'all's curriculum here in Austin at my farm. And I can hire somebody. I have a lot of friends that have time to, teach. I'm not a teacher. I'm not really an educator like that. I like it, but that's not my thing. But I got the space. I'm a farmer. I can find a educator. Y'all have a curriculum. We can build a little school program, trade thing here. And that's how that thing goes. And that's just the way it's supposed to spark across the community. Like, we supposed to be building. But I feel like sometimes we get stuck in having to find that funding to where some of us just reach and we get sucked in. Some of us end up having to, shake that jelly roll, and now we out here, and they stuck, and now they on the wrong side of the work.
Sister, something that it traumatized me on one end, but it triggered me. When I was doing my undergrad studies at a HBCU, this was a melanated man, well respected on campus, illustrious title. And I remember when I first started doing the Farmer Brown thing, I was like, I really want to talk to black kids and get black kids, specifically black, involved in agriculture. And he was like, brother, I feel you want to talk to black kids, but I love my white women and pork chops and my paycheck. He told me this in secret. This wasn't at a public meeting. And this was a cool dude, but he was like basically saying, look, I hear what you're saying, but if you want to do that, then this is what you stand to lose out on. This is my point about Antonio Brown. And like I said, I don't watch, I haven't even seen the man play. I'll be totally transparent. But what I respected about what he did, whether he was being crazy or not, because of whatever he believed in, fuck y'all's money. I believe in what I believe in, and so I'm gonna take this jersey off. I'm gonna take this little tiptoeing around. I'm gonna take whatever this go along to get along. I'm gonna throw that off to stand on my square. And so when we apply that to agriculture, when we apply that to our food security as a melanated people, it is going to be an uncomfortable process. But like you said, what if you had that community support? What if you have melanated? Because all of us got stomachs, and so everybody has to eat. What if we can shake that uncertainty of, well, what if I offend my white friends or white people pretending to be my friends? What if I offend the people? They're not your friend if they don't want you to feed yourself, right? What if I offend people who's cutting these little $3,000 checks when I understand this is a $1 trillion business in North America that our ancestors mastered years ago? Your ancestors that you did your history on, they mastered it. My ancestors from South Louisiana mastered it, commercial farmers. But playing this game to the guy that you said gave up the bag because he had a family in the USDA, we understand that was a part of how we got in this position of 1.4% of a country. So once again, as a melanated family, what are we willing to sacrifice? And this is a rhetorical question. What are we willing to sacrifice for what this sister represents? When I think about I'll say a black magic that our sisters represent, and it's interesting, not to digress, the majority of farmers around the world are women. It's only in the West that women represent a minority of farmers. And so when I think about the potentiality, my daughter's going to be 3 on the 7th. And her and her twin brother, they Farmer Brown, they love the garden. And as a father, I know it's not for me to try to force on them what to do, but I see them seeing their mom and their dad being passionate about this land, passionate about this mission. I see that it's becoming a part of her being. And when I think about you, I want my daughter to see you. I don't want my daughter to see Cardi B. I don't want my daughter to see somebody that's promoting the worst of us. And this ain't to throw shade on nobody, right? But I want my daughter to see the best of the potential that we have within our community. Not only just see it as something she can aspire to, but I want her friends to understand if you want to be radical, if you want to see it as radical, support this woman. Maybe you might not become the best farmer in the world. Support this sister down here in Austin who has decided that she's going to buck the system and do something that needs to be done. You have a very inspiring story, and I'm being very genuine. I hope the family that's watching, the family that will see this later, understands the power and what you represent in the Lone Star State.
Yeah, and because it was that's one of the things I seen too, like when you were talking about Waka Flocka farming and, Drika Gates farming, it's like all of these celebrities are starting to farm, and I'm just kind of like, I respect it. I appreciate it. But before you just put that out there on your platform and you start to benefit from that, you need to reach down in the communities that y'all be around and see if it's somebody already doing that. See if it's a farmer out there already that might need the help. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm pretty much it be people sleep across the street underneath the bus stop from my farm. You know, you know what I'm saying? So it's nice, but we need the support. Like we need to be able to be seen and heard, and we need to be able to raise the money that we can raise to make this stuff happen. You know, I just or the city of Austin could just stop playing and pay me my money. I would take it.
Sister, we're gonna have to continue this conversation in the spring. We don't want to take up too much every time.
Definitely will.
How can people support you? How can people get in contact with you? Obviously, you know, financials will always help an operation, but sometimes just some positive energy in your way. How can people get in
positive energy? You can just follow me on my social media. I tell everybody, if you can't do nothing, just follow me. I appreciate that. And support me because I'm, like I said when we were backstage, I'm kind of camera shy. I have to, you know, be comfortable, and you was just kind of like, just be comfortable. So I'm really wanting to get into building up my YouTube channel and building up my social medias and doing more conversations like this with people. So just come over to my YouTube, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, Twitter. I'm Nancy Farm Fancy on all my social medias. Dobbin Cobb Garden Farm is my farm. Y'all can see it back there. It's down there. That's my ancestral surnames. My father's name is Dobbins. I'm also related to J.H. Dobbins that played football. He from LaGrange, that's Texas. And then Kavanaugh is my people from Buda. So Dobbin Cobb Garden Farm on Facebook. And yeah, you know, that's just yep. And like in my bios, you can find my LinkedIn to all my other stuff. But yeah, just follow me on social media, shoot me an email, citizen farm her, you know, at gmail.com.
making ancestral noise.
Yes.
Noise.
Yep.
This is beautiful. So once again,
and I
family,
appreciate you for having me.
We greatly appreciate you, and I ain't gonna say I hope. I'm gonna affirm that I know somebody watching this is going to be inspired. You don't look like the average farmer, right? You've broken that mold. When we think about, you know, we want to break these stigmas. You can sit and ask somebody to respect you, but my mom always told me don't ever ask nobody for respect. What did Birdman say? Put some respect on my name. And what you've done is you've taken initiative to plant a seed where, you know, it was barren ground. By you being the one in Austin, and that surprises me. That's crazy to me. I hope the melanated family understands the potential that each of us have wherever we're at. Nobody is going to stop you from doing what we were put here to do. These people are running off on the plug. However you want to see that, if you want to get into metaphysics, these people they're losing their shit. And so are we getting in position to gain it?
And I'm like, this is I was like, y'all, I'm watching an episode of American Greed live in real time right here. And nobody said nothing. Nobody has still said anything to this day. There were a couple of reporters that reported about it, but it was real quiet and still ain't showed up. It's still silent. Ain't nobody heard nothing. So I'm gonna keep watching. Just, you know. Oh, Urban Farm News now. I do like true crime stories on farms and stuff like that. So just check me out, y'all.
This has been a great build. Like I said, we're gonna have to bring you back this spring. As far as the curriculum piece, we'll do some back end conversations. That's very doable. The concept is our seeds need to see people that they resonate with. You know, not just stock photos, not just tokens or symbolism, but they need to see real people doing real things. your children are into sports. I think with these coaches, that's a great start. Hey, we're going to do some conditioning on one of these farms. We can run around the track a couple times, or we can get out there and do some weeding. Like the sister, she put like, I hope the family goes back. She put like 10 different, very practical uses of this space to engage the community. Because that's all, seeing is believing. It's one thing y'all on here talking about it, but if people see this being implemented where they're at, that does more than trying to teach them. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to be educated. It's just seeing somebody that looks like you that's being genuine doing it. So we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you. I am Nathaniel Lockridge. Where am I? Where can they find us? I'm in Northeast Austin, in the Manor and Rocky area. Just send me an email, connect with me on Instagram, Nancy Farm Fancy on Instagram, and just I'm open 9 to 2. That is the thing. So this is my home. My husband do have a gun line, and so I have to tell people I have business hours that are from 9 to 2, Tuesdays through Fridays. We're closed on Saturdays because it's the Sabbath, but on Sunday we are open from 12 to 4. And then on Mondays I'm also closed, but I take meetings like today, just random things. But yes, those are my hours. Please contact me and we can work together. I look forward to coming back in the spring. There's so much to do here now that we live here. We live on the farm now. For the first 4 years that we were owning the business, we commuted from Pflugerville to the farm, but now we live here, which is great because now we have the opportunity to start buying the land, which is what we're doing now. A lot of us black farmers accessing the land are leasing it, but we want to be in ownership positions. So that's a big thing, and that can be the conversation in the spring, land ownership.
Yeah, we really look forward to continuing to be with you. I still have family there in Texas, in Waco and Amarillo. Shout out to my folks there. I used to live in Austin. I know, it's changed a lot since when I lived there. But there definitely is a need, not only in Austin, but like I said, wherever cities where we're at, where we have to get black to the garden. That is the garden is the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of life. The garden, literally where food grows, that is the foundation of life, because that's what sustains life. Every living organism on this planet needs to eat. We all got to eat. All the animals, plants, people, humans, bugs, slugs, thugs. We all got to eat. Everybody's got to eat.
Yep. And I grow mini veg specifically for the thugs, because not all thugs like to eat vegetables, but they will eat mini if possible. They like to eat cherry tomatoes. They'll take a little baby head of romaine because the whole head go bad. My husband is one. So once I figured out the process for growing vegetables for him, it was on and popping. So I do specialize in mini veg for the thugs because y'all gotta eat.
Yes, it do. So here at B1AG, we like to say we're pushing the black algorithm, fighting against the algorithm. That is our mission, and we will continue to do that.
Pushing the black algorithm. Ancestors, they mastered the systems. We raising your bosses, no victims. Planting that knowledge curriculum. Blessing the boots with the nutrients. The darker the berry, black Nubian. Dropping receipts like I'm Julian. The streets with that food like Peruvian. Trapping the merchant, the fruits and the veggies. CSA boxes, my package is heavy. Ship across town in the bed of my Chevy. Printing them up, growing hard for that baby. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta scramble. Bet on black farmers and growers, no gamble. Reclaiming our bankers, the game is in shambles. Blessed with that melanin, carry the mantle. Mothers and fathers of civilization. Black to the garden with food cultivation. Building back better through black innovation. B1 community growing the nation. Genetically designed to be the dope Just open that growth mindset, codified. Now we focus, farming on back on track. Feed the fam, break bread with them, pushing that B1AG gorilla. Now watch me get them, pushing that B1AG gorilla. Feed the fam, break bread with them, pushing that B1AG gorilla. Now watch me get them. Pushing that B1AG gorilla.
Farmer Nancy, great build today.
Thank y'all for having me.
We touched on a lot of topics, and I hope that the audience was able to see that, it's bigger than food. Food is the foundation, and that's a great big thing. But food branches out and creates so many avenues and opportunities in so many different areas. She's even talking about reaching out and helping the youth offenders and, our disadvantaged kids, helping them with agriculture, showing them something different. We leave it up to the system. A lot of times the system is going to try to correct them or steer them into something that's either inhumane or use inhumane or demeaning tactics to so-called help them. We can really help our children with love while teaching them a survival skill and viable life skills that can help them make money in agriculture. Again, Life brings life. Life brings life. And that's what we're about here. Bringing forth a better life, a more abundant life, and making sure that when we sit down at this dinner table, we're going to eat good.
Family food at the table. That's what I be saying. Family food at the table.
Doesn't get any better than that at all. We'd like to thank everybody that watched us today. Again, her Instagram page is at Nancy Farm Fancy at Instagram. Her Facebook, this is her Facebook page, Dobbin Cab Farm. And if you want to email her, farmer@gmail.com, farmher@gmail.com.
Oh, at the citizen FarmHer.
Okay, let me.
I gotta let the people know I'm a citizen because I be on block watch. I gotta be a part of the neighborhood association and all of that good stuff. Just but I don't know. We gotta start taking back our communities. I feel like that was the conversation. It's like we are a part of the community, but we also watch the community beat itself up. And it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, stop. So
we'd like to thank you again, Farmer Nancy. We got a lot of building to do. I would love for the opportunity to get back to Texas to really, build with you in this agriculture. I grew up with my grandmother down there in Waco. She taught me how to shoot, busting out there by the peach trees. You know what I'm saying? So it's
them Duffies out there in Waco, the Duffies. Duffies.
No, we literally lived out in the middle of nowhere in Waco. Like our neighbors were horses and peach trees.
The best neighbors though.
Yes. So Farmer Brown, we had a great build today. Got more building to do. The seed has been planted. But at the end of the day, if we really, really, really want to know something, what do we need to do, bro?
We taking over one farmer at a time. If you really want to know something, family, let's learn how to grow something.
You can always reach out to B1AG at b1aghiphop@gmail.com. Again, learn how to grow your own food at healthyblackfood.com. Do this as a family. Go through this program as a family. You know, this is something that we all need to do. Get black to the garden. Let's feed ourselves, and let's increase our wealth while we're empowering ourselves through health. So, B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris. We have Farmer Brown MC, special guest Farmer Nancy. See you next time. Peace.
Yeah.